What's up, everybody? My name is Hawk, and welcome to Let's Talk Hoops. Today, we have a really special guest, my guy Hawass, aka the B-Ball Files. He is, I call you. You remind me of like a student of the game. I watch your videos when you're going and you're interviewing other fans outside of their arenas before the games, and you have all this knowledge of other teams, even more than some of the diehard fans that are going to these games.
Uh-huh.
I love watching your TikToks when you take us back and you rewatch some historic NBA games, or sometimes it's just a random game that you really enjoyed, or just going back and looking at. And I'm talking, I've seen you pull up games from the '90s, like you be going back and really taking it all in. So I really appreciate your content, and I'm really happy to have you on the show today.
Man, thanks for having me, Hawk. Likewise, I'm also a fan of your content as well, man. I just love getting on and just talking hoops with anybody, you know what I mean? So just to see regular people like us just out here making a platform and just talking hoops and people actually, caring about our opinions and what we have to say is actually really cool. So I appreciate you for having me on, and I'm ready to just chop it up and talk hoops with you, man.
Yes, exactly. So first things first, this is a question I like to ask everybody the first time they're on the show. How did you become a Raptors fan?
So I'm from Toronto originally. I lived in Toronto, and then I kind of moved out to the suburbs when I was like 7, 8 years old. But I don't know how well people outside of Toronto know how it works. But like, there's the greater Toronto area, whereas like the suburbs. And so like I moved out there, but anybody around Toronto or Ontario, even Canada, I guess, is a Raptors fan. So um, I just supported the team that was closest to me. Like I remember being young. I was really young during the Vince Carter days, but Vince Carter just really brought basketball to life in Canada. And even if you didn't watch basketball, you still knew who Vince Carter was. So I had I have a few memories watching a few Vince Carter games, but I really got into the Raptors when I was like in the sixth grade. um, it's just kind of weird. I was just flipping through the TV channels one day, and then I just came across the Raptors just playing, and this would have been like 2008, 2007, 2008.
Oh, nice.
And this was the Chris Bosh era, so we got Chris Bosh, TJ Ford, Jose Calderon was his backup at the time. You got Anthony Parker, Joey Graham, Rosho Nesterovic. Not a really good team when I'm listening. Not a really good team, but we were good enough to make the playoffs and be like a first round exit. And back then, as a little kid, I had these high hopes that we could win a championship. If we get this guy and Bosch gets better, then. But realistically, looking back, that team literally had no chance to ever win. Like a lot of the guys on those teams, they wouldn't even be in the NBA today. Like this is back in
Yeah.
the era where guys really didn't want to come to Toronto. Like the whole American Canadian thing, like guys didn't want to come up there, so it was really hard to get free agents. So that's when I became a Raptors fan, and I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna be truthful here. I was a Raptors fan, and then Chris Bosh leaves, and I'm like, yo, there's no way I can just be supporting this losing team. So I was at the same time like I was a Raptors fan, but LeBron James was also my favorite player. So I'd watch the Raptors, and I also watch Cleveland, and Chris Bosh leaves us. He goes to Miami. LeBron goes to Miami. I'm just like, yo, at this point, I think I started high school. Like I just got into
Yep.
high school. Like grade 9 is when LeBron goes in the summer. He goes to Miami. Chris Bosh goes, and I'm like, yo, I'm full time LeBron James right now. Like the Raptors aren't even sniffing the playoffs. And for the next 4 years, I was just full time. Just I don't consider myself a Heat fan or a Cleveland fan. I'm just a straight up LeBron fan. So wherever LeBron goes, I'm there. So I'm with the Lakers right now too. But then sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm
Nah,
just
nah, I
giving
like
you
it. I
guys
like it.
I just give you guys the timeline. So the year that LeBron leaves Miami was 2013, 2014, and that year the Raptors had a resurgence. Chris Bosh leaves. They had drafted DeMar DeRozan. I
Yep.
think DeRozan and Bosh played for one season only, and DeMar tweets out, don't worry, I got us once Chris Bosh is gone. And there's a few ups and downs, and then they get Rudy Gay, we get Kyle Lowry, and Masai is now the GM. They get Masai like around 2013, and they're trying to blow everything up. They trade away Rudy Gay. They're trying to trade Kyle Lowry to the Knicks. He was almost gone to the Knicks, and then the Raptors they start winning. This team led by Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, starts winning, and they end up making the playoffs, and they have this first round series against the Brooklyn Nets. And now, here I'm back now. I'm like, yo, Raptors are in the playoffs. I'm back now. So then, just from there on, that DeMar, Kyle Lowry era, we had our ups and downs. LeBronto, all about it. LeBronto, trade for Kawhi, win the chip, and then Kawhi's gone, and now we're kind of in this rebuilding mode. But now that I'm grown, I'm gonna stick and be loyal 100% of the time. Not gonna but that's kind of my journey as a Raptors fan. So
I feel you. I like that. I like that you shared the whole story. I like hearing other NBA fans' fandom journey, if you will.
Yeah. What's yours, if you don't mind me asking, with the Sixers?
Yeah. So mine with the Sixers, I'm from South Jersey. I was born in Oklahoma, but I moved here when I was like 1.5, 2 years old. I have no memories of Oklahoma. So I started watching basketball. Funny enough, what got me into basketball was the year the Celtics made that great playoff run in 2008, play against Kobe. Like that was my first real memory of watching basketball, that playoff run. I actually become a Dwight Howard fan during that time period. Loved his Orlando Magic run. He's still one of my favorite players. But the whole time, I'm always watching Sixers, one, because they're on, because I'm local. But I would say what really, and weirdly enough to say, what really got me into the Sixers when I started was when our process started. Like when we were winning 12 games. I, for some reason, went to like 5 games that season, one, because they were dirt cheap. Like I was getting tickets for like $10, like no exaggeration. But and one of my earliest legit Sixers memories is Michael Carter Williams' rookie year. And that was kind of like, I mean, we were absolutely horrible, but that was kind of what, I guess you could say, I got in on the ground floor of just when we were at one of our worst, most recent memories. And I just loved them ever since.
Yeah, no, you seen them at their worst. So I feel like for me, when the Raptors won the championship, it was exciting. It was sweet, but I didn't stick around during the hardest time, so I don't feel like it hit as hard as I was there. So I feel like for you, being there, seeing them at the very worst, at the bottom, and being through those, when you guys finally win a championship, I feel like
it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy for sure.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of questions about, we're about a month and a half, almost basically away from at least the start of training camp and then preseason and stuff. So I got a couple of like Raptors related questions just to get your, bounce off you, get your thoughts and ideas. But I want to start out with Scotty Barnes. I love his game coming off of an amazing rookie season, rookie of the year. A simple question is, what are your expectations or thoughts or hopes for Scotty? He's an amazing player. He has a couple of ways he can improve his game to continue to what I think could be an all NBA caliber type career for him. What are your thoughts on Scotty?
First of all, I want to say, Scotty, I did not expect him to win Rookie of the Year. That was not my expectations for him. So he surprised and exceeded my expectations. Defensively, I think that's what stands out right away. Like, he just gives me Kawhi vibes, like I feel like he can potentially be the best defender, at least perimeter defender in the league one day. He has the size. He really has that hunger too. I don't know if you saw that clip recently around where Harden was like,
he looks like, huge.
Yeah. So, Scotty, I like to consider myself a realistic fan. When I talk with other fans, I think everyone's really excited about it, but I feel like my expectations for him versus other people's expectations might be a little bit different. Personally, I've said, with the whole Kevin Durant thing going on, I've gotten into a lot of debates saying, honestly, I would be willing to trade Scotty Barnes for Kevin Durant. And I've got a lot of, backlash from people saying, oh, you're crazy. This is that. But, the thing about the problem with fans is you want to get everything without giving up anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, they're coming up with proposals like, oh, Gary Trent and OG for Kevin Durant. Come on, man. It's Kevin Durant. How are you going to just trade those two for Kevin Durant? Like, if Kevin Durant's one of the 12, 15 best players ever, So as good as Scotty Barnes is, I was willing to trade him. Now it doesn't look like we're in the conversation for Kevin Durant anymore. But that's also a reflection of how highly I think of Scotty, because I think
Yeah.
that he's that good, he's that valuable of an asset that you could get Kevin Durant. Now going forward this next season, I think the expectations for him are going to be through the roof. But I think people also have to understand that sometimes in the second year, players tend to regress sometimes, like there's going to be, especially coming off the rookie of the year season, they're going to be expecting so much from him. And people, because the expectations are so high, might get disappointed. And now, they might think, oh, Scotty's not as good as I thought he was. But I think Scotty's going to be like a 4, 5, 6 year process before we see how good he really is. So in year 2, I just want to see a little bit of development from him, especially with that jump shot from long range. If Scott, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but if he can get like league average, like 35, 36% from three, maybe taking like 2, 3, 4 3-pointers a game. That's what I'd like to see from him, and more duties handling the ball, and maybe being, a primary ball handler when Fred VanVleet is not in the game. So just little incremental improvements from Scotty, and I'll be happy. I'm happy he got playoff experience last year, which he got injured, but he got a taste of the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I have just little expectations, but I'm not expecting him to be an all-star or make all NBA next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like that you have those realistic expectations. And you brought up a good point talking about rookie sophomore years. I think a lot of people fail to realize that the sophomore slump is a real thing. That's why we call it that. And it's sometimes not even necessarily that the player is playing worse. It's just that teams now realized, okay, you torched us your rookie year. Now your name is, towards the top of our scouting reports. We didn't watch the film for you all training camp. Like, you're one of the names we're worried about now when we go to play you guys. So it'll be interesting to see how defenses adjust to him and how he, adjusts his game to some of the defenses he's going to be seeing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think the team's adjusting to now recognizing the player. Like, you're not sneaking up on anybody this year. So I think that's mostly what it is. But these guys, you figure it out over time. I think more experience, more time. So it's a long game with Scotty Barnes for me. I'm not expecting a huge jump, but yeah.
I like that. So another guy coming off an award-winning season, if you will, is Pascal Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
He made All-NBA third team, he's someone who I thought deserved it. I remember I made my All-NBA picks probably about a month or two before the season was out. And to me, Pascal definitely deserved that award. He had an absolutely amazing season. He's 27 years old, which when I looked that up earlier today, getting ready for this, I was like, I honestly thought he was a little bit younger, but now he's like entering his prime. He's not old, but he's entering his prime. I'm just curious on what are your, thoughts on Pascal going into the season?
I love Pascal Siakam. See, in Toronto, like everybody hates Pascal Siakam. Not like
really
not hates, but they don't think he's that guy. They don't think he's good. Like they've seen enough of him kind of stink it up in the playoffs, and people are very hard on Siakam, and they don't really think he's that guy. But I'm a believer, like, in my guys. You know what I mean? I feel like those low points, those hardships are crucial. That's what makes you a good player, when you overcome the lowest of the lows. And he's had some tough playoff outings, especially back in the bubble. And even against Philly, he did struggle quite a bit. But I think those are just necessary growing pains for someone who's going to be a good player. So to give up on him, I don't really believe in it. Like, going back to what I said about, trading Scotty Barnes for Kevin Durant, people's rebuttal will be, no, I'd rather trade Pascal Siakam. This, that. Pascal Siakam's not good enough to be a number one, which I agree. I don't think Pascal Siakam is going to be a number one to help you win a championship, but I think he can be a number two. He's proven he can be a number two. He can be a number three. So I just think for the Raptors, it's just a matter of, keep grooming Pascal Siakam. It's hard to get all NBA players. He's one of the top 15 players, and he's done it twice now. He's one of the top 15 players in the league. So people kind of, because he's not like a flashy, he's not like a Jason Tatum or a John Morant. He's not that he doesn't have that allure to him. But he's still on the level of these other 15 players in the league. He's all NBA. So I think he's kind of undervalued in Toronto. But I'm just expecting more of the same from Pascal Siakam, just kind of lead. And I think he's proved that he can do it in the regular season. But now what I want to see from not just him, but also Fred VanVleet as the leaders of our team, I want to see if they're able to get it done in the playoffs. And going back to Siakam's playoff failures, there was a time in Toronto where Kyle Lowry was struggling, in the playoffs, and people were saying, trade Lowry, trade Lowry, trade Lowry. I was one of the few saying, no, thug it out. Let's keep him. And he ends up winning a championship, and he ends up being a crucial part. I think he had like 12 straight points for the Raptors in Game 6 against Golden State.
Yeah.
The first 12 points of the game, he helps lead the Raptors to a championship. So, the ups and downs of players is what fans, I think, need to, be more understanding of. But I'm a big fan of Siakam, and I'm hoping for another All NBA season. He made third team a season ago, and I think it was second team that he made in 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was second team. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he could do first team, but I'll see. If he can have an All NBA first team season, that's a good goal to have. But I think he's right where he belongs. He's a second, third team all kind of all NBA player. So Siakam, I'm a fan of Siakam, but I can't really say the same about the rest of the fans here.
I think Siakam is, to your point, almost slept on when you talked about comparing him to some of the guys like Tatum, like Ja Morant. Yeah. NBA Twitter loves to use this phrase, like he's not like a hezzy tween, type guy. Like he's not a bad guy.
Bag Twitter, yeah.
Yeah, but he's definitely a guy whose production speaks for itself. He's not a bad guy, but you can't deny his production when he's on the court.
Exactly.
So one thing that I love about the Raptors, the one thing that the whole, I feel like, NBA world looks to the Raptors is this new almost age of basketball they're trying to form, where it's a whole lot of like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", rangy guys who can all do a lot, who can all defend the perimeter a little bit, who can all, do a lot of good help side defense a little bit. But one thing, at least, I'm curious if you feel like you guys are missing is what I would consider traditional center. Maybe not traditional in the sense of like a lumbering guy who's slow, but maybe the new age traditional center, somebody who's like 6'10", 6'11", who can not necessarily have to be in your starting lineup all the time, but someone you can potentially bring off the bench. I know you guys got Precious Achiuwa, so I know you guys have some, but I know Precious is also a slightly undersized guy. And when I look back at some of the recent championships, they all had what I would consider at least a semi-traditional center that was there at times to help, solidify that paint. Look at Kevon Looney with the Warriors. Look at Marc Gasol with your Raptors. Brook Lopez with the Bucks. Yeah. All of those teams have had a center. Now, there might have been times where they run the small ball at times for sure, but I also can remember times during those championship playoff runs where I was like, wow, that center is really doing a lot for them right now, whether it be rebounding, defending the paint, or just having that dominant physical inside presence. Mm-hmm. In your mind, do you feel like the Raptors need some sort of traditional center, I'll say?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's been stated even by Masai and Nick Nurse that there's a hole in the center position. Like you said, someone who, whether it can be like a rim runner who can protect the paint, or like just like a defensive big who can stretch out the floor, like a Brook Lopez, or like you said, like a Marc Gasol. That's definitely missing. I think they tried to address that issue in the draft this year by drafting Christian Koloko. I don't watch college basketball, so I don't know much about him. I don't know his game. I know his size. He's 7 feet 7'1". So
gotcha.
Yeah, so he would definitely fit that mold in terms of a big body, a big presence in the paint. So, but he's also a rookie, so I don't know if he can come and contribute right away. I don't know if there's going to be somebody out on the market. I've heard, trade rumors trying to get Miles Turner. But it seems like they're really experimenting with Precious Achiuwa, especially expanding his game offensively. He's now like a pretty good 3-point shooter. Like he's like an average 3-point shooter in the NBA. But like you said, he is undersized at 6'9". And when you're going up against the likes, especially in the Eastern Conference with, you mentioned Lopez, but then you got Joel Embiid. In the Western Conference, you're gonna go up against guys like Jokic, even teams like Dallas or Phoenix a season ago. They had JaVale McGee. So that size at the end of the day, this new era of like small ball is there, but like you mentioned, you still need that traditional rim presence. You need that size. So I think it's definitely something that needs to be addressed for the Raptors. I'm interested to see how the rookie Koloko does this year and whether or not he is that guy if the Raptors are going to be willing to make some moves to fill in that position. But I would say on the tier of what the Raptors need, I would say that's probably the second most important thing that they need right now. The first, I would say, is getting a superstar, but those don't come just like that.
Yeah. um. Okay. So outside, we talked a little bit about your starting five. Outside of Scotty, Pascal, who is someone just you as a fan are you the most excited to see this upcoming season for your Raptors?
I would say the young guards, Delano Banton and Malachi Flynn. I think Malachi is going into year 4.
Yeah.
Delano in year 2 now. So I think we need some depth at the point guard position. Like Fred VanVleet was, I'm not sure. I think he ranked as one of the highest, like playing the most minutes out of
Yeah.
people in the league. And I know the starting 5 was the most minutes played out of all starting 5s in the league because our team lacked the depth. Nick Nurse, I guess, didn't seem to trust the rest of the guys. So especially at that point guard position, I'm looking to see how Malachi and Delano develop. The Raptors are now known as an organization who are good at developing players. So I'm really interested to see those guys' development. And I would be interested to see them run like 2 point guard lineups, how they used to do when they used to do with Lowry and VanVleet. That used to be very successful for them. So I'd like to see them do that. They have 2 different types of point guards in Delano and Malachi. Delano's like a 6'9" point guard. He's got more size, and Malachi's more of like your traditional, like quicker. He's got the handle. So I'm interested to see who's gonna win that that backup point guard position for the Raptors. So I want to see those 2 and their development.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So I know you're a fan of the NBA. I know you love the Raptors, but I also know you like I've said before, you are a student of the game.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Other than the Raptors, what team are you the most excited to see this upcoming season?
That's a good question. Let me think about it. Who am I most excited to see this season? I mean, like I said, I'm a LeBron fan, so I'm always going to be interested in the Lakers. I think a lot of people, and rightly so, they were terrible last year, but I think people are kind of shitting on them a little too much. I think if LeBron and AD can be healthy, they can do some damage. So the Lakers, I'm interested to see, and maybe it's good for them that people are kind of shitting on them. Maybe there's less pressure; they can kind of go under the radar and start the season off well. Other teams, I'm interested in seeing. I like young teams and young cores. I'm interested in seeing how Minnesota turns out this year with that new Rudy Gobert move and Anthony Edwards developing. I think everyone's really high on Edwards. I think everyone's locking him in as an all-star for this next season. So I'm interested to see how they figure that out. Like, either it can be really good or it can be really bad. So we'll see how that goes. But I think also Rudy Gobert is a player that gets unfairly slandered. He's a top 10 defense by himself, like everyone says. So he's going to really bolster that Minnesota defense. I think if Cat can, step up and take his game to another level, as well as Ant, they could be really exciting. Like the West is looking kind of crazy. Now that I think about it, I got my answer for you. Final answer. The Denver Nuggets. That's who I want to see. They were on the pinnacle of just being like this powerhouse in the West. I think they were in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers in the bubble. They lost to LeBron, but that was good playoff experience. They beat Kawhi the round before, and each year along the way, they kind of made moves in the playoffs and kind of advanced and got more experience. And I felt like after the bubble, I'm like, okay, now, they're going to be scary. MPJ, they're going to have him healthy for a full season. Jamal Murray, and then, all these injuries happen, But during those 2 seasons where they were banged up, Jokic just took his game to another level, winning back-to-back MVPs. And, he didn't have all his guys. So now that all the troops are back, you're going to get Jamal Murray back. I'm not sure. Is MPJ, is he going to be back or is he going to be out for a while?
From everything I can tell, he should be like pretty much back. If he doesn't start right away, like a month max, but he should be ready to go fairly soon, from my understanding.
If they're healthy, and they made moves for KCP, they got KCP in the trade. I think they traded Will Barton and Monte Morris. So KCP's a champion. He's experienced. Aaron Gordon he doesn't have to be as much relied on to be a scoring option. So everyone kind of falls back into their rightful role.
I like that.
I think Denver is going to be scary. If Jamal Murray is bubble Jamal Murray or some form of that, I think Denver is going to be really exciting to see. So I'm excited for that.
I like your point on Aaron Gordon when it comes to Denver, because he's just one of the guys I've always liked for some reason. And I do think he had to do a lot, obviously, with the injuries, and I don't think that's where he's best suited, as being the go-to number 2 guy offensively. But if MPG and Jamal come back doing their thing, he could slide down, and he's a really good number 4 guy if you're just looking for him to do something offensively.
He's amazing. If he's your number 4 guy, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, so they're gonna be really interesting. I hope everyone's healthy. I hate injuries, so I predicted that Denver would win. Like, I think a few years back, I'm like, I saw Denver's potential. I'm like, yo, Denver's gonna win the championship in like 2022, but injuries or whatever. But I think Denver's gonna be good. So we'll see how they turn out.
Awesome. Well, Hawass, this has been absolutely amazing. This has really been fun conversation. Thank you so much for hopping on today and talking about your Raptors, just the NBA in general. I'm going to have all your links to all your stuff in the description below, but if you want to tell the people where they can find you and tell them a little about yourself, feel free.
Appreciate you for having me on, Hawk. It was a pleasure. I'm excited to do more of this during the regular season, so just hit me up. I'm always down to do it. If you guys want to see some of my content, you can find me at the Basketball Files on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. I post videos, try to post videos as much as possible. Do a lot of old school game recaps, and just put out a lot of fun content. Once the season starts, I'm going to be traveling to different arenas doing the basketball trivia. So I might be at an arena near you. So tune in.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on today, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.